Good news you can use with Deborah Horn, yeah. She got the good news you can use. Good news you can use for your life.
Hello, and welcome again to a conversation about racism. As you know, February is Black History Month, and this is the time when students across many school districts in the country are supposed to be learning about Black history. However, there are some school districts, like the one in Utah, that has allowed parents to have their children opt out. I thought it would be a good idea to talk about the history that doesn't get written in the history books. And joining me today for a little Black History Challenge and discussion is my esteemed panel. Some are here for the first time, and others have been here before. So we'll start out with Brooks. Would you introduce yourself and let everybody know where you're from?
Aloha kakiyaka. My name is Brooks Bays. I live in Honolulu, but my family is from Texas, going back many generations. So I'm pleased as always to be here.
Very good. Randy?
Hello, everybody. My name is Randy Parnell. I live currently in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I have traveled all over the Eastern Seaboard as far as where I've lived in my past.
Kathy?
Hi, I'm Kathy Bear. I grew up in Canton, Ohio, but I've been living in Akron, Ohio for 35 years.
Tavaita?
Hello, everyone calls me TJ just because Tabitha is very complicated for most people. I am currently living in Dallas, Texas. I've been here for 22 years, but of course I was born and raised in Canton, Ohio.
That's right, and we're neighbors. We live right down the street from each other.
Right.
That's right.
And I attended Ohio State University, so I'm a Buckeye.
Okay, well, everybody can't be perfect. I went to OU.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so Bobby.
Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Bobby Allen. I am from Durham, North Carolina, born and bred and just raised here in the Bull City. Glad to be here, first time.
And Bobby and I worked at WNCU Radio together, had one of the smoothest radio voices ever. Thank you, Bobby, for pitch hitting here. And last but not least, Jean.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jean Langley. I'm from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And like some of you, by way of a lot of other places that I've lived across the United States, I'm delighted to be here again. I'm a competitive soul. I'm in it, Beverly.
Yes, definitely. She is. It's been right true blue for me, and I sincerely appreciate it. And we got a surprise! A surprise! Yeah! Okay, so last but not least for real who is this?
This is Bruce Dunn coming in from Florida.
Thank you. He really did pitch hit at the last minute, so thank you so much.
Bruce.
Yes. Okay.
Let's see.
All right, so here we go. So we're just going to start out. I'm going to ask you a question, and once again, the letter A, B, or C. Now, Bruce, if you don't have the cards for A, B, or C, I'll just ask you to give the verbal. But if you can get it, that's fine. All right, so first question. Lewis Latimer was the inventor of A, the light bulb, B, the cotton gin, C, the ironing board. Lewis Latimer was the inventor of A, the light bulb, B, the cotton gin, C, the ironing board. Which one is it? Okay. 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 The answer is A, light bulb. Okay.
Wow.
So here's some background information about Lewis Latimer. He was born in 1848 in Chelsea, Mass. He enlisted in the Navy at the age of 15, and when the Civil War ended, he returned to Boston and he taught himself mechanical drawing while working at a patent law firm. Now, what is interesting is that while working with Hiram Maxim, at the U.S. Electric Lighting Company, He patented a carbon filament for the incandescent light bulb. He also worked with Alexander Graham Bell. Alexander Graham Bell actually used the patent that Latimer had created to create the first telephone. And he also worked with Thomas Edison. So he hung out with some big boys. But we see the thing of it is that we all knew who Thomas Edison was, right?
Right.
We all knew who Alexander Graham Bell was,
Right.
but we really didn't know about Lewis Latimer. I mean, he is taught in some history books, depending, I guess, on where you go to school and, what the school system does offer. Okay, moving on. Yes.
Wait. I want to know how TJ got that right. How did you know that?
Hey, I was a guest. I have no idea. I was a lucky guest. How about that?
I thought you had a better Black history teacher than you did.
I didn't know
Okay.
about it until somebody posted about it on Facebook last week.
Wow.
There you go. You see? There you go. All right, next question. Who was the first Black man to graduate from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point? Now, this one was on my Facebook page. Was it A, Henry Johnson, B, Henry Flipper, or C, John Tez Williams? Was it A, Henry Johnson, B, Henry Flipper, or C, John Tez Williams? Bruce, okay, I don't know if you're doing that to be funny or not, but okay. All right, the answer is B. John Tez, really?
Another lucky guess.
Another lucky. Okay, so Henry Flipper was an American soldier, engineer, former slave, and in 1877, he became the first African American to graduate from the United States Military Academy at West Point, earning a commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Army. Now, unfortunately, his career in the military did not end well because he ended up being court-martialed for being accused of stealing about $2,000 from a quartermaster's safe. Now, the white soldiers, what do you call them? I guess the soldiers felt that this was a setup and that he had been set up. So what they did was they actually raised money amongst themselves to pay back the quartermaster the $2,000. The quartermaster, of course, did accept the money, but Flipper was still court-martialed. So, and he, to this day, they say that he never took the money. In 1999, Bill Clinton, former President Bill Clinton, issued him a pardon. Okay. So, another lucky guess, TJ? Is that what it is? And Bruce, I gotta know. Now, you know there was no Black person back in the 1800s named John Tez. Really?
And that's what I was thinking. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, really?
Wait, Beverly, you don't want to know why I got it right?
Why? Because you saw it on my Facebook page.
I studied your Facebook page. You told us to.
You were the very first one to put it up there. I said, yeah, she's been there.
Yeah, I studied.
Okay. So, Randy, let me ask you a question. You got it right as well. Did you know that, or did you
I
guess?
did not get it right. I did not get it right.
I thought you
cheated.
did.
I watched my screen. I'm honest. I'm sorry.
At least you're honest. Okay. Moving right along. W.E.B. Du Bois labeled this man as the worst enemy of the Black race. Was he referring to Booker T. Washington, A, Marcus Garvey, B, or Dred Scott, C? W.E.B. Du Bois labeled this man as the worst enemy of the black race? A. Booker T. Washington, B. Marcus Garvey, or C. Dred Scott? The answer is B.
Ah, somebody's winning a gold star or
I
something.
know, right? And she didn't even want to come on the call. So. All right, so
Oh no.
this is very interesting that a lot of you said Booker T. Washington because, Booker T. Washington kind of was labeled like, massive kind of step and fetch it, so to speak. I mean, I'm not sure if that's the right word I want to use. But the reason that Marcus Garvey was labeled as the worst enemy of the black race by W.E.B. Du Bois is because he led the Back to Africa movement because he believed that whites would always be prejudiced against blacks, and he felt that it would just be better if we all left the country and moved on back to our roots.
He was somewhat right.
And, and let America be America.
Bruce, I was just going to say that. Is it that much different now? I mean, maybe everybody should have just gone and started their own country.
So anyway, all right. So that is why it was Marcus Garvey. And the thing about Marcus Garvey is I have researched him more now because, they gave us a little glimpse about the Back to Africa movement when I was in school. But he did a lot. I mean, he developed a trade between the black vendors and business owners in New York to the Caribbean. So businesses between the Caribbean were connecting with businesses in New York, and they were trading. And so he helped businesses in New York, at least anyway, because that's where he was, to thrive during that time frame. And say what you want, but I do believe that when some white business owners see that you're doing better than they are, they tend to not like it, and then we get the Wilmington riot that we got, we get the Tulsa riot that we got. So it's examples like that. Okay, moving on. George Hayes and James Nabrit, and they could be Nabrit, are best known for what? Now, I didn't know this. I thought it was something else, but it's amazing to me. They were best known for what? A, being the campaign managers for Jesse Jackson, who ran for president. B, being part of the legal team for the Brown versus the Board of Education case. Or C, the first two black men to graduate from Yale Law School.
Wow. This is a wild guess.
This is definitely a wow. Okay.
Okay, the answer is B.
Wow.
Yes, the answer is B.
Wow, that's amazing.
And you know what is so interesting about that? When I was researching, I said the only person that we ever heard of was who? Thurgood Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
We never knew who else was a part of that team.
Right.
But those were the two gentlemen who were. Yeah, really interesting. Okay.
Beverly,
Now,
hold on a second.
Yes.
Do you know their background? Like, did they go to law school? Do you know?
Well, I think they had to go to law school in order to be lawyers, but
Well, they could have been on the team without being a lawyer. I don't know. I'm just
they
curious.
they were a part of the NAACP's Legal Defense Fund.
Okay.
So, and I'm sure that the NAACP made sure they were lawyers in order to, because the Brown versus the Board of Education case was such a huge case, and I just don't think they would have left that to amateurs to be a part of that. So, and the other thing about once they won that Brown versus the Board of Education case, I also learned that the first 9 states to open up desegregation, which surprised me totally, the majority of them were in the South. I was very surprised to learn that. I was like, really? Kentucky was one, and I should have gone in and listed them, but I do remember seeing Kentucky, and I thought, really? Huh, that's interesting because it just wouldn't, to me, in my logical mind, wouldn't seem that that would be the case. Okay.
Beverly, do you know what was the last?
The last state to desegregate?
Yeah, in schools.
I do not. I would probably say it was Mississippi, but I don't know the answer to that. I will look that up because that is a good question.
I'm wondering if it wasn't Virginia, because for all of you that live close to Beverly here in North Carolina, you remember that even Bobby Kennedy came down to Farmville, Virginia, to that school district that would not desegregate.
Can you speak up, Jean?
Bobby Kennedy came down to Farmville, Virginia in the 60s, to that one school district that would not desegregate and had kicked all of the Black kids out and created a series of private schools.
That is a good question. Bruce, I'm going to charge you to see if you can look that up. The last school to desegregate.
It was Mississippi.
It was Mississippi? Oh, it was Mississippi.
What year was it, Bruce?
You're muted, Bruce.
Do you know what year it was, Randy? Randy has it.
It says May 17th, 1954. Hold on.
It can't be right.
No, that's not right.
It's
Sorry,
South
I'll look that up as we all talk.
It was South Carolina?
South Carolina.
And when did they last
Hang on, let me check it here. In September.
September 1963.
Yeah, 1963.
Wow.
In September of 1963, 11 African American students desegregated Charleston County's white schools, making South Carolina the last state to desegregate its public school system.
Okay, so now we understand why Lindsey Graham is still the...
That's
Oh, yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah.
And the
Oh, yeah.
Confederate flag.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Wow.
And the Confederate flag. Okay, but the South Carolina wasn't the last state to remove the Confederate flag, were they? No.
Well, that just happened
That
recently.
just happened
Yeah,
because of the
Mississippi just did.
That's just happened recently.
Yeah, Mississippi was the last one, right?
There's still some states that have it.
Really?
as
Yeah.
part of their flag.
Yep.
The Confederate flag? I thought that they all had been removed.
Well, removed in what way? From the state
From the
capital?
state capital, yes.
Yeah, then I think every state is. But there are still some states that still have the flag flying. Hell, Florida seems like we still have it flying sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
flying
I
a lot.
agree.
I'm seeing it a lot this over the past 2-3 days because we got race weeks going on here.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
NASCAR, it's the month of NASCAR here.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're going to move on here. The first big slave revolt. Now, I'm sure you've heard of some of the slave revolts that took place. I mean, they were in the regular history books. The first one, the first big one, took place in A, Charleston, South Carolina, B, Tupelo, Mississippi, C, Richmond, Virginia. The first one, the first big one.
Those states again, please.
Yes, A, Charleston, South Carolina, B, Tupelo, Mississippi, C, Richmond, Virginia.
This is also a yes.
Mine's a
And you guessed wrong, Bobby.
Well,
Okay, the answer is, what did you have, Jean?
Oh, wait, I forgot C.
Okay, the answer is C, Richmond, Virginia.
I found
Yes,
I'm
Virginia
going back
would
and
be-
forth
I
between
figured
the two.
the answer would be Virginia.
yes, the answer is Virginia. The slave's name was Gabriel Prosser. He attempted to lead 1,000 slaves who organized themselves into small groups with various weapons. But of course, you know, There's always got to be one of us that's going to go tell master something's going on, and that's just what happened. So the leaders were arrested and executed. All right, the other revolts took place in Charleston, South Carolina, with Denmark Vesey. I studied that in history. I do remember that. Southampton, Virginia is probably the one that everybody knows, with Nat Turner, who killed his owner and the owner's family. That was big in the history books. I do remember that one. That's probably the only slave revolt I remember from history. Okay.
Well, wait a minute. I just want to jump in here because I read this book about Farmville, Virginia. So I just want to say to you, the Prince Edward County schools were ordered in Virginia to desegregate in 1959, and rather than do it, they closed their entire school system, and they Black children were without schools for 5 years.
Wow.
5 years, and they set up their own schools, 1,500 schools, attended free schools, but they missed their education for 5 years. It drew national attention. John Kennedy referred to it in his speech about civil rights. But Prince Edward County did not open its public schools on an integrated basis until 1964, when the Supreme Court outlawed Virginia's tuition grants to private education. This event marked the end of massive resistance. Capital letters. That's right around the corner from us.
Did not know that. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that wasn't in the history books either, because I certainly didn't know that.
I was going to say Northern Virginia is pretty north as Virginia goes. You know what I mean?
This is the western part of Virginia.
Oh,
Right.
the western.
Near the mountains.
Okay. Prince Edward. Okay.
Near the mountains.
Okay.
Right. Okay, and this is the final question. See, we just moved right along. Y'all are just so good. Okay. In the late 1890s, a Black man named James Parker did what? A. Purchased his freedom from his slave owner in North Carolina. B. Became the first Black man to marry a white woman in Boston, Massachusetts. Or C. Tried to keep a man from killing President William McKinley. A.
What year?
In the late 1890s. Purchased his freedom from his slave owner in North Carolina. B. Became the first Black man to marry a white woman in Boston. C. Tried to keep a man from killing President William McKinley. A,
Wow.
B, or C.
I haven't gotten hardly any right, so.
I know. Me neither.
Okay, well, that's okay, Gene. You're being educated. That's okay. And Randy and Brooks and what did you have, Bobby? What did you have, T?
A.
Okay, that's it. Just Brooks and Randy got it right. The answer was trying to keep a man from killing President William McKinley. So here's the story. James Benjamin Parker, an African-American waiter from Georgia, was standing in the receiving line in Buffalo, New York to greet President William McKinley. What he did was a man whose name I could not pronounce came out and he described himself as a anarchist, and then he shot at President Kennedy, shot him 3 times. Now, what happened was, before he could fire off the 4th shot, Parker knocked the gun away. And he knocked the gun out of his hands, and he was praised by witnesses for preventing the suspect from taking that next shot. Well, we all know that President McKinley did end up dying. But what is interesting about this story, that as I went on to read more, because, I think our high school was named after William McKinley. Is that not right?
Right.
Okay,
so.
yeah, our high school was named after President McKinley. So what I
McKinley
learned
High School
was,
here in Honolulu too.
oh, you have one there? Does everybody have a McKinley High School in their state?
I went to a middle school, William McKinley Middle School
Okay,
in Brooklyn.
okay. Do you all, there's none in, I know there's none in Durham. Is there any in Chapel Hill? Okay, okay. Yeah, you don't know. Okay. But anyway, so what I did learn as I continued to read more about him is that So the Secret Service were on the scene, and initially everybody was praising him and saying, "Oh, this is wonderful. This man, he saved, well, he kept him from, at the time, I guess, killing him, because I think he didn't die on the scene. He died later on." And then when they went to trial, he was never called to be a witness. And then they just kind of wrote him out. They never connected him or associated him with trying to save President McKinley's life. So that was one of those obscure names in history that we'll never know. I mean, because we know about Sirhan. Wasn't it Jack Ruby that tried to save one of the Kennedys from Sirhan? Or did Ruby shoot Sirhan?
Ruby killed Oswald.
Oswald. Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah. So he killed Oswald, right? So it's interesting how history shapes what they want us to know about history, when in essence there's just so much more to history and all the contributions that have been made. I did not know that a Black woman had invented the ironing board. I didn't. Did you know that, Kathy?
No.
Okay. I did
No
not know
idea.
that.
No idea.
So there's so many, and scientists and.
Hey,
and,
did you know? I got one for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did a video for my high school that I posted on YouTube, and it was talking about all the inventors during Black History Month. I didn't know that a Black man invented the shoehorn.
I did not know that
And
either.
I use the shoehorn all the time. And not many people even know what a shoehorn is for the most part. But for the types of shoes that I wear, I don't want to break the back of the heel, so I use a shoehorn invented by a Black man.
Wow. See, I didn't know that either. So there's so many inventions and creations. The fact that Lewis Latimer was connected to Alexander Graham Bell. I mean, everybody knows who Alexander Graham Bell was, and Thomas Edison, but we never heard about his association with them.
Right.
Let's do a woman one, Beverly. I've got one. What did the first Black woman graduate from the U.S. Naval Academy?
Okay. You gonna give us an A, B, or C?
Just tell me. Wait, all right, I'll give a year. Okay, let's see. 1976, 1984, 1976.
You said that twice.
76, 86, 84.
Oh. Wow.
From the Naval, that's the first Black woman to graduate, and that really?
Wow. I know. I'm just gonna say 84 as a guess.
I'm gonna say 76, but
I think 84 is my guess.
Beverly, I'm going with you.
84.
Well,
84 or 86.
I got it wrong because I didn't have my glasses on. It was 1980.
it was
It was
what?
what?
It was 1980. I missed.
Oh, 19.
I don't even want the options.
I got you all.
Now, it took all of that time for the first Black woman to graduate from the Naval Academy?
Crazy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
From the Naval Academy, and then the first female Black 4-star admiral. Let's see.
That's recent.
Yes.
That's recent.
That's like.
Yes. That's very recent. Admiral Michelle Howard.
Yes, that's very recent. That's very recent. And just think, 50 years from now, they'll be talking about Kamala Harris as the first, woman of color to be the vice president of the United States. So let me ask you this in the time that we do have remaining here. How much, let me ask you two questions. Number one, what Blacks do you recall learning about in history? Just, give me their names. What do you remember? Because we all heard about. I'm so tired of hearing about Martin Luther King. I appreciate all he did. I'm thankful. You know, but I'm sick and tired of the focus being on him. So let me start with you, Kathy. Do you recall?
Don't start with me.
Do you
This
recall
lack
any?
of memory here.
Do
Oh,
you recall? Who do you remember from history as far as black people go? We know Martin Luther King, so we can all say that.
Booker T. Washington.
Jesse Jackson.
Jesse Jackson, okay.
I mean, these are more contemporary than, you know.
I was gonna say when I was in school, Martin Luther King was current events. So
Right.
Okay, right, probably.
Booker T. Washington.
Washington.
Booker T. Washington.
A Christmas
George
addict.
Washington Carver.
Christmas Addicts. Who was Christmas Addicts?
He was the first person killed at the Revolutionary War.
That's right. We learned about that. That's right. That's right.
Malcolm X.
Malcolm X.
That was
But
current
did we,
events.
okay.
That was a president.
He was current.
Who else?
Rosa Parks.
Yeah. And you know what?
Good
Here's the
one.
thing.
George Washington
Rosa
Carver
Parks
was
wasn't
the
even the
point.
first black person to give up her seat on the bus.
Right.
Harriet Tubman.
Harriet.
Oh,
yeah.
good one.
How can we
Yeah.
not hear it?
George Washington Carver.
George Washington Carver and the Peanut.
George-
Yes, exactly.
Sojourner Truth.
Sojourner Truth.
Yep.
I didn't know
Same
about
thing.
her at all.
You didn't?
Fabulous.
No.
Did you know about Phyllis Wheatley?
Yes.
Name's familiar, but I can't think of what she did.
I know. I can't remember why.
Wasn't she a writer? She was a writer. So Randy, did you get a much did you learn anything about African American in history, African Americans in history growing up?
Well, I grew up in the good state of North Carolina, so it was a little different. I do remember Booker T. Washington, Rosa Parks, but there was definitely there was one-sidedness. All I'll say. And I grew up. I'm a little younger, probably most everybody in the group. So we did learn about Malcolm X. We did also learn about Martin Luther King. That wasn't contemporary. Whenever I was going through school, I was. I'm 42, so it was a little different.
Right.
So
Okay.
How do you know, Randy, that we're not the same age? I mean,
I
come
said,
on.
I think. I did not say I
He did.
was.
Well, I outed myself as
He did qualify that. He did qualify.
Hey, Bev.
I didn't say how I felt. I said
I will vouch for you, Randy. I did hear that.
thank you, buddy.
No, I feel a lot older. That's all.
Well, no, guys. So I'm a non-traditional student. I went back to school later in life, and we talked about, like how we view. So some of the stuff I do is like labor relations stuff that I look at. So when we were talking about the Red Scare when I was a kid, and then when we were talking about the Red Scare now, it's totally different to me. So putting lights on the whole situation, I guess, is something that I've learned that has not been done in my education previously.
So let me ask you this question, and I don't mean to put you on the spot because I'm going to ask everybody the same question. Do you believe that Black history should be a required course, or do you believe that it should be integrated into overall history? I'm not sure if integrated is right, because I do believe historians believe they have integrated Black history. But do you think that it should be required?
I think so. Here's an interesting fact for you. 1996 was the first year that a white person took Black history at NC State University. I know that because it was my friend. Yes.
1976.
1996.
96.
Whoa.
Wow.
My friend took it, and they made a big deal because she was the first white female that took. I don't understand, Beverly. I'm sorry. That's what she said. I will need some fact checking for the group.
No, I believe you. I
Wow.
believe you.
Beverly, I thought of two that were so big. One was, three actually. One was Muhammad Ali. It was so big. And one was, of course, Emmett Till. And another one that I remember learning about was Nat Turner, who led the rebellion.
Right. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we talked about Nat Turner. So, do you think that Bobby, you teach, you taught?
But no, and I still do. I'm a seventh grade ELA teacher, and to answer your question directly, yes, it should be. It's and what I like to do, and from the literature perspective, is introduce my students to part of history they haven't heard. And you're absolutely right. The names that you guys mentioned, MLK, Rosa Parks, those names are always mentioned. And so I've introduced them to, and I'm sure those of you that are veterans as far as being on this earth, I won't mention numbers, but
Thank you.
you're welcome. The Children's March of 1963. And so that was the movement that really sparked, when I read and did my research on it, that was the movement that actually sparked the civil rights movement. Thousands of kids that actually went and protested, and they were arrested. And so
Wait, which march was that, Bobby?
the Children's March of 1963.
Children's March. Okay.
Right. And so and just really briefly, I mean, the adults at that time, they could not do that out of fear of losing their jobs. And so you get, Shelley the Playboy, one of the DJs at that time, he sparked this movement. And so got these kids together, and my students were like, whoa, wait a minute. We've never heard of this. We've never been exposed to this. So to your point, Beverly, it should be, but unfortunately it's not. It's not taught.
How much Black history did you get in school, Brooks?
Not very much. I mean, I graduated from high school in 1976. So some, as you know, there'd be a highlighted box in a chapter. Oh, here's a black person. You know, that would be.
Right.
But when once in a while, here's a woman, the first woman who did something. That would. But as an exception to history, not a part of history.
T, did you take Miss Weaver's Black history class when you were at McKinley?
I don't recall taking Black history class in high school. I think, I just got the basic, just like Brooks would say, a little bit here, a little bit there, the highlighted area. Probably more of my Black history is once I got to Ohio State and I took, Black history, Black studies or whatever. And that was where I learned more, but I still don't think it was the depth that, that's really needed.
Right. Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
For those of you that haven't looked into your chat, I opened up the chat. I posted 3 videos that I use here at my high school, and that's where I am right now. We got a play going on. It's called You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. I've got a 3-camera setup. We're streaming it. I've got technicians, all students, all high school kids that are from my digital video technology class are putting on this show. So I'm breaking away, and I told them, it's on you. This is a 2 o'clock matinee. I'll be there for the 7 p.m. show, but you got to get through this 2 p.m. show. But I have taken the opportunity since, and I say this, there's only 2 black folk here in this high school that are teachers, and I'm one of them. That's it. And I teach digital video technology, and the other one teaches athletics. That's it. So I use the platform as the digital media technology student and professional in the industry because everybody sees me that way more as a teacher. They don't see me as a teacher as they see me as a corporate guy who's teaching. So what I've done is when I created the YouTube webpage and the YouTube channel for the high school, I started incorporating a lot of the history and a lot of the celebration month. So March 1st is, celebrating Women Month. I'll be doing features based on that. Hispanic Heritage Month in September, I do features on that. Black History Month, I'll do features on that. So I'm the only one really pushing those monthly celebrations that happen everywhere else around the country. But for this particular high school, they don't do anything with it and they don't recognize it.
What is the percentage of black students who go to that school?
very small. It's maybe, we have about 2,000 students, maybe 5%.
And that's probably how they can justify not incorporating Black history, because the overwhelming majority of students,
They're not,
what
yeah.
would I'm not going to say what would they get out of it, but
Well, it's a predominantly, affluent white area.
right.
And
So,
give you an example. The show we're doing tonight, all donations, the money raised. Normally we would have a packed auditorium of 250 people, but we had to limit it to 100 because of COVID. The donations that we received just so that we could do the live stream was over $2,000 just
Wow.
to do a live stream.
Wow.
I broadcast via live stream 7 football games during COVID. All of it paid for by sponsors. The
Yeah.
athletic department raised, because I showed them how to do it. I used the commercial format of ESPN, NBC, and CBS. I showed the athletic director what to do, and he raised $25,000 for their department so that I could do the live stream for football.
Wow.
Wow.
There's no-
yeah.
that-
And just see
that-
if there was that much
Works.
enthusiasm for, in the Black schools, because,
And the black school that's here, like 10 miles away, nothing. They're trying to recruit me to come there. I said, I'm not coming here because you don't have any money.
Right.
I
Right.
can't raise that
But
money
it's
there.
true. But it's true. See, that's the sad thing. It's true.
Yeah.
And and it breaks my heart because, when you like, you're for example, so I tutor, and you have to decide, okay, so can this parent afford this? Do I give my service away? It's a lot of things. And if you're trying to give back to the community will cause you to be poor. So you have, it's a thing I struggle with. I do struggle with it. So anyway, all right, well, listen,
Could I just say this?
please.
I would, United Way here in the Triangle has done a very cool thing for Black History Month, which is that 3 times a week you get an email from them, and it might be a podcast, it might be an article to read, it might be a short video clip to watch. And it's been such an interesting thing because it covers this huge range of Black history and in different mediums. And it's going all month long. And so every couple of days you get another video or another podcast or another whatever. And it's just been a delightful way to really celebrate Black History Month. I'd love to share the link with you all.
Please do. Please do that.
You can join any time to see the things that they're putting on. But I have to say that, Beverly, if you had done this quiz on Hispanic History Month, I would have done even worse than I did for Black History Month. And I only got one right by a guess. If you had done anything on Asian History Month, I would have gotten even worse. Our knowledge of what minorities have contributed to our country is so small. It is so small.
And you know what? I think that's the reason it's great that we're all learning, but this has to start even in kindergarten. It has to, first of all, I do believe it should be integrated, but second of all, the thing that I thought about is, do you remember back in probably grade school, we had to be a character. We had to be somebody and do like a book report and dress up and be that person. Why isn't that happening in Black History Month? Why isn't that happening in Women's History Month, whatever? And you don't just pick the Martin Luther Kings. You're given a list of people, just like some of these people, Beverly, that you pulled out that were very important to our history. And that's when you remember what you learned. I may leave today and only remember a little bit, unfortunately, of what you taught us today. But then if you do it every year, you're highlighting Black history, you're highlighting women, you're highlighting whatever. that's when it becomes embedded, and you're less fearful of other people by learning about them.
Unfortunately,
Right?
it comes down to the committed teacher. It comes down to the individual
The
teacher.
commitment of the teacher, exactly. It really does. All right. Well, you know what? I think Jean and Kathy have just given me a great idea. I will do a Women's History Month challenge. And T, you'll be joining us again because you were the winner this month.
Yeah.
There's a smackdown, Gene.
Wait a minute, can we vote her out? Because
Well, this is her first time, so, and you don't want to know the backstory as to how she got here. We
I'm
won't go
happy
there.
to reconnect TJ with a fellow McKinleyite and Buckeye.
Okay.
All right, guys. All right. So that is really going to do it. I said we were going to stick
Yep.
to the time, and we are here. I really do thank you so much. Hopefully, this will be a teaching tool for those who will be watching this in the future. They will learn just as I've learned, and hopefully you've learned. And you can go out and share this information with your friends and just anybody that you want to talk to on Facebook or Twitter or wherever. But anyway.
And I'll promote a little bit. I also sent you a link so that you could see the YouTube page that I manage the content and develop the content working with students here at the high school. So we do a daily morning announcement and we post it on YouTube as if it's a live newscast. So I've been doing that for the past 4 years, and that's what I teach. And like I said, the thing that bothers me more than anything else, I enjoy doing it, but I have no black students involved in my
Wow.
classes. And I have 120 kids.
Wow.
One is black.
That
Hey,
is
Bruce,
so
you may want to
unfortunate.
send that link back out. I think you sent it to me privately.
What's that?
No, I got it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we all got it. All right, guys. So on behalf of Brooks and Bobby and TJ and Kathy and Jean and Bruce and Randy coming in for the first time. Thank you so much. And Randy, you are welcome to come back every month that we do these things, because I'd surely love to get your insight on the conversations that we do have about racism. I believe that you have much to contribute. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for tuning
I did
in.
send it out again, Randy, because it wasn't to everyone. It was just to 3 people. So you
Okay,
should see it now.
participating.
Yeah.
Until next time, remember this, just stay empowered on your journey and keep spreading the knowledge about the contributions that African Americans have not only made in this country, but throughout the world. See ya.
Okay, take care.
Happy
Beth.
Valentine's
Take
Day.
care, everyone.
Spread the love.
Yes.
Good news you can use for your life. If you want to get the info that'll help you throughout your life. Yeah.